Before we begin, thank you very much to Nice Guy Henry for joining the Patreon campaign. Thank you very much. Very appreciated. Normally, this is where I would kind of like poke and prod to get you guys to to pay attention to the Patreon campaign. In this case, I got something more important to shout out. So, a friend of mine who has spent the last year trying to get back into their teaching position after being very wrongfully terminated from it. Is now hitting really rough times. He is currently living out of his car, and we just found out about this today. So here's what I'm going to do. There is a GoFundMe set up by a mutual to help him out and try and get him. He's got a job, and he's going to try and get back on his feet as soon as possible. But there is a GoFundMe to help him out and just help him get to that point. So if you can spare a little bit, please check the link in the description, or pass it along to somebody else that you think could help, or share it on socials. It all makes a difference, and it all potentially gets to either that one person or enough people to really like make a difference and actually make it happen. So I appreciate any support you guys can offer us. Thank you. All right, so video time. All right, so let's get the real life stuff out of the way. We go back to the fantasy stuff you tuned in for. I did a video before looking back at the 30th anniversary of Transformers to try and glean anything they might be doing for the 40th anniversary. I don't know if I actually succeeded in that, but today we are going to speculate on what exactly the 40th anniversary will entail for the robots in disguise. So, we're going to focus more on the toyetic side of things. Obviously, we have the Rise of the Beast movie this year, so we're probably not getting a new movie next year. Because I think Transformers 1, Transformers 1 is not 2024. I think it's 25. Yeah, because a 1 year cycle would be weird on that one. And Earthspark is going to be essentially in season 2 then, so I don't think we're going to get anything like big out of that, out of like media franchise wise. It's taking so long to announce the new comic books, we might get that for the 40th at this rate. However, I want to talk and actually like speculate on what the toys might look like for the 40th anniversary line. It's going to encompass some of the year 3 of Legacy, but it'll also blend into the first part of like the next series that will follow after Legacy. So we're kind of gonna split the hairs a little bit. It's not going to be one solid anniversary line, but there's going to be a year's worth of celebration. So I think the most obvious thing for the 40th is probably going to be reissues. Walmart has been doing a lot of these G1 reissues that are painted after the characters from the 86 movie. So they are more cartoon accurate than the G1 toys have ever been. Obviously, an Optimus Prime is going to happen. We'll get a full reissue of it. It would be cool if we got it in that style that the Walmart toys have been done in, because I don't think we've ever gotten a full-size reissue Optimus Prime that is done like that. In the brighter cartoon colors, the flat gray stripe on the trailer instead of the blue one. I would be interested in this. But yeah, this one seems obvious, for an anniversary to do like a reissue Optimus Prime, because keep in mind, the recent Walmart reissue they did of just the cab section, they did as a completely new tooling. Like, they went back to original prototype and made like a brand new mold for it. They're going to get more than one use out of that mold one way or another. So expect to see another one in the works. But aside from that one, I honestly would not be surprised to see this Optimus Prime reissued as well. I would say the 07 movie one, but this is the one that kind of shook the fandom because of how like shockingly accurate it was while still having a very complete transformation to it. So maybe the electronics might be gutted. That might be the only thing lost in a reissue of this figure. But I would expect to see some kind of movie Optimus Prime representation for the 40th anniversary. We've gone through a lot of the figures for Studio Series that we possibly could, so a reissue of some of these is not unheard of. We don't really talk about reissues outside of Generation 1. I think when people mention a reissue, it's pretty much like almost a given that we're talking about G1 stuff, but we're not limited to that by any means. As long as those molds still exist and can be dug up, they are perfectly okay to be reissued, assuming they'll be marketable and affordable enough to make. So I would expect a movie Prime, either the '07 or the '09 mold. My money's on the '09 mold. We can look at some of the existing product and the things that Hasbro has not technically announced. We can kind of surmise by exactly what they are doing. When it comes to the core class Dinobots, I think it is incredibly apparent to everybody that they are bracing us for a Dino King. Now, this is kind of like shocking. We used to have like rumors that there was a Monstructor on the way that was going to be a retooling of. I don't want to say like I think it was the Power of the Prime Dinobots. Ironically, strangely enough, I think that was the rumor at the time. I remember one of them was spotted with the wrong head, and it matched them. It matched the Dino Force or Monstructor instead. But there's always some kind of rumor floating around about Monstructor, one way or another. But we pretty much know that Dino King is going to be a thing based on how Volcanicus assembles and the fact that the 6th Dinobot is an Ankylosaurus. And it's all laid out exactly like it is here. I would expect this to be one package, like a buzzworthy release most likely. I don't think they're going to litter another year's worth of core class with just like tons and tons of dinosaur toys. I think this is just going to be like a one and done gift set. Mostly because these are also going to be very obscure characters, so selling them individually might be something of a hard task. But I do like the idea, and I think that one is pretty obvious that we are getting next year. Also, we take a look at some of the other existing molds and kind of figure out what to do. I was reminded of a piece of artwork for Beast Machines that I showed off recently in a video. And one of the things that they did was they took the Deluxe Armada Starscream and remolded it into Jetstorm. And I absolutely think that is going to happen here. Not only because they share similar aesthetics and there's similar body shapes to the two, but quite often Hasbro will use some of their smaller size classes or their exclusive lines to kind of test the waters on what exactly they will release later on. For instance, we have a core class Cheetor that we know is going to be a Beast Machines version of the character on the way. So things like that and testing the response is kind of like is kind of a way of figuring out and being informed about what Hasbro intends to do on a larger scale. So I prefer this being a remold makes it far more palatable to produce. It's not nearly as much of a risk. So that's where my head is going. And I can see where the retooling would work to make it look more show accurate despite it being an Armada Starscream retool. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we got more of the Viacons. If I'm being frank here, because it's been quite a while for them. I think their turn is due. Likewise, we know the rumor list includes a core class Energon Megatron, so we can assume that something Energon might be on the way for the 40th as well. I would love to pick something other than a hot shot, but I do think that is a pretty obvious choice. They have stated in the past that if they were going to do Energon Deluxes again, they would try to work in the Power Link gimmick, but similar to how they've ignored the Minicon gimmicks in Armada, I genuinely think they are going to just release them as just really nice quality toys of those designs. And if we're talking that, then yeah, Hot Shot absolutely deserves a fair shake. It's not like this design would be so much better if it did not have the combination gimmick. So I'm expecting them to give it another shot, so to speak. In a similar vein, for the 40th, I would also expect a pack of Minicons that will either complete or the ones that exist or inform who will be coming out later, one or the other. We can talk. I don't want to speculate too much on things like Generation Selects because they can go all over the place. But one that I'm pretty sure we will be getting next year is going to be Starscream. Not only because it's Starscream, and retailers will literally buy anything with one of the 4 big names of the franchise on it, but also because we've heard from the developer streams for Transformers that, yeah, one of them pushes really hard for Machine Wars. Apologies. So, I mean, for most of the decos, I think that'd be kind of dull. Machine Wars not exactly known for its vibrant toys, but Starscream might be a little bit different. It's a super cool looking figure, and as a selects, I think it would be a perfect release. All they really have to do is like retool Skyquake with a new head, maybe a little bit of functional differences in a few parts, but it really wouldn't need that much work. And you can tell from the sculpt, it is designed with the G1 Skyquake aesthetic in mind. I expect Dreadwing for Prime is going to be a heavy remold, but we'll go back to this particular design in order to incorporate not only a G1 Skyquake at some point, potentially part of the G2 line, just because color-wise it fits in. Or yes, I think as selects we're gonna get Starscream. I mean, that's just like an out there guess, but if they're pushing that heavy for Machine Wars, I think they're kind of informing the direction they're going to go. I'm expecting next year to get a full reissue or modification of the Netflix Soundwave. There is speculation that this is going to be in the works for one thing or another. However, we know what the popular version is. People are going to want the blue Soundwave, right? So I expect this to be released again. I expect it to have some differences from the original release. Most likely yellow eyes instead of red to match the toy rather than the cartoon. Also, like another shot at this thing without yellowing plastic would be good for a lot of collectors out there. Otherwise, because we know that they have a Studio Series Rumble out there that is compatible with this Soundwave, we're very likely going to get a Frenzy as well. And if those continue to do okay, then there's no reason they won't do other cassettes as those like big, much more like heavy accessory featured and more involved cassette figures for Soundwave. I mean, it doesn't make sense to keep doing those if there isn't a Soundwave to put them in. So I'd expect that to make a return too. There's another rumor out there. So we know that Shadow Striker is in the listings, and we're expecting it to be Cyberverse. However, there's new rumors that kind of involve the character a lot. And it has to do with the overall design, because apparently it's the rumor is that it's a mix of the original the Cyberverse and the original Shadow Striker, which was a retool of Sideburn. RID is another one of those areas of Transformers that Legacy hasn't touched, and this is a big thing for figuring out the 40th, is figure out what hasn't been done in the last 5 years. Because they've hit on everything, right? They're doing Pretenders now, like Pretender style figures. They're doing they've done Micromasters, they've done Headmasters. We're getting some Target Master characters now. So like it's hard to go with like what haven't they done already. So you have to go to like some of the more obscure series that have been overlooked, and RID is definitely one of them. Now, if they're doing Sideburn, I definitely think we're going to get Prowl and X-Brawn at some point. The hard part is those two don't really have many things you can do with them. They were only repainted for Universe as made-up characters. So nothing with any like history behind it, just name dumps. So I'm not entirely sure what you do, because like, who do you remold into from X-Brawn? There's no other Transformer that looks like him. So that's a rough one. But yeah, if the rumor about Shadow Striker is true, then the 40th is definitely going to pay homage to RID, and Sideburn is the obvious choice from that, since he's the kid appeal of the show. I feel like the 40th is when Transmetals are going to make a return. We've completed the Season 1 cast. The rumor lists include a Silverbolt, so we know they're going to continue the Beast Wars characters, but they've been very cagey about how to handle Transmetals. So with Transmetal 2 Megatron going over pretty well with no chrome needed. I think that's going to give them enough confidence to actually produce Transmetals again. I don't think we're going to get them in time for Legacy's 3rd year, because we're going to be pretty inundated with Beasts thanks to the new movie for quite a while for this year. So I think give the Beasts one series off, and then like either late into Legacy Year 3 and then early into whatever the next series is. That's when you start sprinkling in Transmetals. I think this one, we've talked about it on the streams at times. The Hasbro streams have mentioned Transmetals in the past. I think they are definitely keeping it in mind. I definitely expect the Armada train to continue. I'm expecting things like Demolishor, some of the more standout designs, potentially Sideways, but potentially, who else? We're doing Optimus and Hotshot, so Red Alert is probably going to be somewhere in the mix at some point as a Voyager. Who else? But like it's very thin on the. I feel like it's going to be thin on the Decepticon side if we keep going. So I think Demolishor is a really good choice. That means Cyclonus would have to come at some point too. Let's talk different size classes though. Now the more we look at leader class Megatron and take note of certain elements of the design, the more clear it is that our Commander class soon is probably going to be Tidal Wave. Again, I would love the gigantic one as a Titan class. I don't really foresee it happening at this point. So, I mean, it is what it is. It's unfortunate, but yeah, it'll still be cool. It'll still be a really cool big tidal wave with lots of articulation. And hopefully the combination with Megatron goes over well and works decently enough. If we go one size higher, the Titan class is really hard to decide because we've basically run dry of gigantic Transformers. But that doesn't mean we can't go back and hit others before. I've been very outspoken about wanting another run at Metroplex that looks much more like the G1 version. There is one that needs it more, and that would be Fortress Maximus. Not only because Fort Max, as a remold of the original Metroplex, does not work, but also because there's so much repaint potential to a Fort Max with Brave Max and Grand Max. I really do think this one is like a likely candidate to be redone. It just seems like if we have nowhere to go with the Titans, we've done all the big combiners we can, we've done all of the big city bots we can, we just did the Ark and the Nemesis. So your directions at that point are either to do another spaceship 2 years in a row. So like what? What do you do? The Axelon? Do you go to Beast Wars spaceships? I think more likely is another run at a Fort Max that actually looks like Fort Max and functions like Fort Max a lot better than the original one did. I think it's one of the most disappointing Titans, so that leads me to believe it's going to be really big up there. The HasLab for the year. All we know about the HasLab is it's not going to be Japanese G1 again. It's not going to be Victory again, which put the Lio Kaiser all that to rest. No, if we're going to get something for, they said it's something for the 40th. It's specifically something that would be appropriate for the 40th anniversary. So in that, I'm thinking a brand new Devastator. The fan response to the Combiner War one is not all that great. I like the toy well enough, but I will admit it is a flawed figure to the point where even the Takara version did a way better job of fixing it up. So yeah, I think this one's a pretty easy call, and they could do some incredible things with it at that price point. With basically an unlimited budget. And then you throw in stretch goals that include things like swappable face, so you can have the 2 eyes or the visor, accessories, like little accessory characters that can grab onto, or smaller like Transformer figures that will be like pack-ins, or the accessory weapons from the G1 toys. All of that is a potential here, and yeah, I think that is a pretty easy direction to go in for the Titan class, for the HasLab. Because at this point, the only way to do Devastator and the Constructicons justice is to have that unlimited budget that HasLab makes possible. We had one rumor coming out of like a 86 Megatron, which that's pretty, yeah, it's pretty much obvious what it's going to be. And man, he needs it. That poor siege mold's been in use for 5 years now. But I also think that's going to come with an 86 Optimus Prime as well. Now, because it's the anniversary, I think it's going to be something more of a special package. I think the drone, I think the trailer is going to be more substantial and larger. I think it's going to have like a fully functional drone, more akin to how it worked in G1, sans firing missiles, of course. Expect the usual weapon accessories for Prime, jetpack, energon axe, etc. I think it'll come with all the little accessories like roller that they left off in like other like accessory packs. And I also feel like it's going to include there's. I'm trying to think here because there's so many things it could do. When I look at Earthrise Optimus Prime, I do see what could potentially be a definitive Optimus Prime toy at an affordable price point, but it does lack. They intentionally, for some reason, took out the leg transformation from the Siege figure that would have made it more cartoon accurate, because it hides the wheels away on the side of the leg. I'm expecting that was done intentionally for something like this. Aside from like the original G1 and the movie Prime coming back as reissues for the anniversary, I'm actually expecting another release for the Earthrise as a complete package. Fresh trailer, all the accessories, maybe not Commander price point. I don't think you can juice it up to Commander price point, but I think enough tooling and enough extra parts, and I'm pretty sure you can get this up to like a specialty release, either Buzzworthy, a Walmart exclusive, somewhere around maybe like a $65 price. That's the assumption I'm going by right now. But yeah, I'm expecting this toy back as well. So I've gone on for about 20 minutes about like just random things I think might be in store for us during the 40th anniversary of Transformers, which, by the way, the name I'm going with is Fearsome 40th. In my head was Fantastic 40th, but I don't think Marvel would like that. But that is my predictions. Tune in a year from now to see if I'm correct and to see if the rumor mill actually pans all this stuff out. Or just tune in tomorrow for whatever video I come up with next. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you next time.
We're gonna have to get your names for the books. You, Pale One.
William Current.
Roll me a deception check.
I thought their name was Pain.
Roll a disadvantage.
Okay.
That was like the opposite of the help action there. You, Goblin.
First name D's.
Watch your tongue.